This looks so strange. It looks like my arms are gigantic. It's like... Hello everyone, so it's been one of those really obnoxious weeks, like, hey, it's a 1 in 100 chance that something goes wrong. And it does. But that's perfectly alright, just keep yourself smiling. So it's actually really interesting how much school helps me think of these ideas and concepts, because I really like talking about concepts like the Paradoxes vlog. Today in English we talked about, this thing, This I Believe. And in This I Believe we talk about concepts or ideas that we go by in our life, like a rule that we follow. Basically we write a story, like the story, probably the first experience you had with it. But for me, mine was all about influence. Anyway, the point of my story is it got me thinking about influence. What if someone grew up with no influence at all? Now, I have no idea how this would be possible, but at the same time, if it was, I just want to know what would happen. So I switched places really quickly because the sun was really bothering me and it was just too hot and bright and it was in my eyes, and I had a little pattern from the curtains or the, whatever they're called. Anyway, so if someone wasn't influenced by anything, they would just have free choice to do whatever, and they would have, I mean, I guess they wouldn't really know anything either because they weren't influenced, they weren't taught or anything like that. I guess it would just be back to primal instincts. So that doesn't really work how I wanted to. So let's think, maybe some way someone could have all the knowledge of a normal person, or maybe not all of it, just, you know, like basic knowledge, where to go to get food, things like that, but they would not be influenced by anything. It would be really, really interesting to know how that would work, because it would kind of be like, what are the basics of humans? Because I guess without influencing, there would be no morals. Because really, morals are just a community of people thinking the same thing and thinking that's what's right. In our community, pretty much on a whole, killing is wrong. If there was an exclusive community that taught their kids that, I don't know, they have to kill their father to do something, that would be what's accepted in that place and it wouldn't be looked at as wrong. And the same goes for clothing. I mean, humans and you don't see animals wear clothing without like a human putting clothes on the animal. Now humans wear clothes for protection, but at the same time it's just kind of something we do. Like if you find someone who does not need clothing on in a place because of protection, and they just weren't wearing clothing, it would still be strange. Now people wear clothing for protection of the elements, but the thing is, we don't need protection from the elements all the time because we have buildings and there's places where you just simply don't need it. But we don't see people just walking around naked, because if we saw that, it would still be strange whether or not they needed it for protection. And it's just because that's our community. We've all accepted that morally right thing that we do. So it would be very, very interesting to see one without influence at all. I would say he would probably do whatever he wanted and whatever made him happy, whether or not it's for the good of others or it's good for the world or whatever. But in this conversation, I don't think I have any place of saying this, nor do I think almost anyone does, because everyone is influenced by something, so we have no way of knowing how someone completely uninfluenced would be like. For instance, if there was a place like I discussed before where it was just morally upside down or something from our population's morals, then maybe they would think it's different. Maybe they would think this person would think differently from what I think the uninfluenced person would think like. Think. Kind of speaking of an uninfluenced, maybe all the influence at the same time, like if everything influenced you equally, and it was everything influenced you equally, it'd kind of be the same thing. Maybe that person would do nothing. There was an interesting story, I forget where I heard it. So someone made a video game program for, I think it was Counter-Strike, and don't quote me on any of this, this could all be wrong. It might have not been Counter-Strike or whatever, but he made this program, and basically what happened was they would fight, and then another round would go, and they would fight. It was a gun game, and they would choose the optimal path. And if they died somewhere, they would then correct that optimal path to change so they would get the upper hand. This could also just be a rumor or something, but apparently, after months, this guy's server was still up, and he looked back at these computers, and he realized one thing. There was a round, and they weren't moving. They weren't moving at all. Because they realized the only way to truly win, there's no way to truly win without just stopping. No matter what, if they moved around, 3 of them would die, 1 of them would win, or whatever their numbers were. But in the end, there would be losers and there would be winners, and there was no optimal path because they kept building around it. So they just stopped doing everything because that was the only way to truly, I guess you could say, win. So it just kind of shows if you have all of this influence and all of everything, you might just realize that's the only point. It's kind of like saying you're going to die in the end anyway, but these people aren't. If they don't fight, they don't die. They're there forever and no one loses. So I don't really have a true theory to someone who has no influence versus someone who has all the influence equally distributed. I have no idea how they would both act, and I don't think anyone could actually have a true idea about it, although I would love to be proven wrong. This would be very interesting to me. So thanks you guys for watching. Leave a rating. Please comment if you have any idea about any of this, or you have a link to someone who has an actual theory about all of this. I'd be so interested in that. It would be awesome. So please leave a comment, subscribe, and have a nice day.